I'll never forget the moment my father looked across the Thanksgiving table and said, "You know what your problem is, Sarah? You're just a corporate drone who wouldn't understand what it takes to build something meaningful." This, from the man whose phone bill I'd been paying for the last 6 years. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Sarah Chen, and I'm 29 years old. I work as a senior marketing manager at a tech company in Seattle, making around $95,000 a year. Not bad, right? Except for the past 6 years, I've been funneling a massive chunk of that income into what my parents called investing in family. The family in question? My older brother Michael, 32 years old, eternally optimistic, and the owner of exactly 0 successful businesses despite having started 4 of them. But according to my parents, Michael was a visionary, an entrepreneur, someone who just needed one more chance, one more investment, one more shot at making it big. And me? I was just the reliable one, the boring one, the one with the steady paycheck and the 401k and the sensible Toyota Camry, the one who could always be counted on when Michael's latest venture went belly up. It started when I was 23, fresh out of college with my first real job. Michael had just turned 26 and announced he was opening a specialty coffee shop. Not just any coffee shop, mind you. This was going to be a third-wave artisanal experience that would revolutionize Seattle's coffee culture. In Seattle, where there's literally a Starbucks on every corner and about 50 independent coffee roasters, my parents were thrilled. My mom called me at least twice a week. "Sarah, your brother is following his dreams. He just needs $35,000 to secure the lease and get the equipment. Your father and I would help, but you know our retirement savings are tied up, and we can't risk them at our age." I remember sitting in my tiny studio apartment, looking at my savings account. I'd been so proud of that number. Almost $40,000, saved up from internships and living cheap through college. I was going to use it for a down payment on a condo eventually. "It's family, Sarah," my dad had said when I hesitated. "Michael has a real shot here. The business plan is solid. You'll get your money back with interest once he's profitable. This is what family does for each other." So I transferred the money, all $35,000. The coffee shop lasted 8 months. 8 months of Michael posting Instagram photos of latte art and talking about building a community space while the place stayed mostly empty. Turns out, revolutionary coffee experiences don't matter much when you're charging $7 for a pour-over in a neighborhood where everyone's already loyal to their local spot. When it closed, Michael was devastated. My parents were sympathetic. I was out $35,000. "These things happen in business," my dad told me over dinner. "The important thing is that Michael tried. He learned so much. And don't worry, sweetie. He'll pay you back once his next venture takes off." I should have known better. I really should have. But I was 24, and my parents had raised me to believe that family always comes first. That success for one of us was success for all of us. That I was being selfish if I prioritized my own financial goals over my brother's dreams. 18 months later, Michael discovered dropshipping. He'd paid $3,000 for an online course from some e-commerce guru and was convinced this was his calling. He just needed startup capital for inventory and marketing. "How much?" I asked, already knowing I'd regret this conversation. "Only $42,000, he said, as if that was nothing. "Sarah, this is different. I've done the research. The margins are incredible. I could be making 6 figures within a year." I didn't have $42,000 saved anymore. I'd been rebuilding slowly, living in the same studio apartment, driving the same car, eating ramen more nights than I cared to admit. I had maybe $15,000 in savings. That's when my parents offered a solution. They'd take out a home equity line of credit for $27,000 if I could cover the rest. But I'd need to make the monthly payments on their portion since it was technically for Michael's business and they were on fixed retirement income. I can't even explain the mental gymnastics I did to convince myself this made sense. But I loved my brother. I loved my parents. And they all seemed so certain this would work. It didn't work. The dropshipping guru turned out to be running what was essentially a pyramid scheme. Michael lost everything to a combination of bad products, terrible margins, and a mentor who disappeared after collecting thousands in consulting fees. By the time I was 26, I was out $77,000 and making $400 monthly payments on my parents' home equity loan. Michael moved back in with our parents to regroup and plan his next move. I started keeping a spreadsheet. I don't know why exactly. Maybe I needed to see it laid out in black and white to believe it was real. Date, amount, purpose, running total. I updated it every month when I paid my parents' loan payment. I watched that total climb while my own savings account stayed stubbornly flat. My friends started buying houses, getting married, taking vacations to Europe and posting photos from beaches in Thailand. I was still in my studio apartment, still driving my 2015 Camry, still eating lunch at my desk to save money. "You're so responsible," my coworker Jennifer said one day, completely unaware of the irony. "I wish I had your discipline with money." I just smiled and changed the subject. When I was 27, Michael discovered cryptocurrency trading. He'd found a course, naturally. This one cost $8,000 just for the educational materials, and then he'd need capital to actually trade with. "Start small," the course recommended. "Start with at least $40,000 to see real returns." "Sarah," my mom said on the phone, her voice heavy with that particular tone that always preceded a request. "Your brother has really matured. He's learned from his past mistakes. This cryptocurrency thing, it's the future. People are becoming millionaires. People are also losing everything," I said, but my voice was weak. I already knew how this conversation would end. "He just needs this chance," my dad interjected. He was on speakerphone. "Sarah, you're doing so well at your job. We're so proud of you. But Michael needs this. We're family. Family helps family." The crypto trading lasted 6 months before Michael lost it all. Turned out, day trading cryptocurrency requires more than just watching YouTube videos and buying a course. Michael had invested aggressively in some altcoins that crashed spectacularly. I was now out $125,000. I had started tracking everything in my spreadsheet with obsessive detail. Coffee shop, $35,000. Dropshipping, $42,000 plus $14,400 in loan payments over 3 years. Crypto course and capital, $48,000. Total, $125,400. I was 28 years old with $6,000 in my savings account and absolutely nothing to show for 6 years of work except a very depressing Excel file. But Michael had a new idea. Food trucks were hot. He'd been researching the market, and he knew exactly what Seattle needed. A gourmet grilled cheese truck, elevated comfort food, Instagram-worthy. He'd already designed the logo. "It's only $55,000, he said, showing me the business plan on his laptop. We were at my parents' house for Sunday dinner. The truck itself is $35,000 used. Then there's the commercial kitchen, rental, permits, initial inventory, marketing budget." I felt something inside me crack, just a little, like ice on a pond at the start of spring. "I don't have that kind of money," I said quietly. "You make almost 6 figures, my dad said. "Surely you can get a loan, or use your 401k. "Your brother needs this, Sarah. I've given him $125,000 over the past 6 years, I said. The number hung in the air. I'd never said it out loud before. My mom's face tightened. "We don't keep score in this family, Sarah. That's petty." "Is it?" Something was definitely cracking now, spreading like a web across that frozen pond. "Because I've been keeping track. I have a spreadsheet, every dollar, every date, every business that failed." "That's hurtful," Michael said, looking genuinely wounded. "I didn't ask you to keep score. I thought you wanted to help me." I looked at my brother, really looked at him. He was wearing a new leather jacket, expensive, had to be at least $400. He'd posted on Instagram 2 weeks ago from a weekend trip to Portland with his girlfriend. His phone was the latest iPhone model. "Where did you get the money for that jacket?" I asked. "Mom and Dad gave it to me for my birthday," he said defensively. "What does that have to do with anything?" I turned to my parents. "You gave him a $400 leather jacket for his birthday, but you can't help with his business investment because your retirement savings are tied up?" "That was different," my mom said quickly. "That was a gift. And honestly, Sarah, this attitude of yours is very unlike you. When did you become so materialistic?" I went home that night and added the food truck request to my spreadsheet. $55,000. Running total, $180,400. Except this one had a note in the status column, declined. For the first time in 6 years, I said no. My phone rang constantly for a week. My mom, crying about how I was abandoning my brother. My dad, disappointed that I'd become so selfish. Michael, confused about why I was suddenly unwilling to invest in him. It's not sudden, I told him. I've given you everything I had. I'm 28 years old and I have nothing. No house, no savings, no retirement beyond the minimum 401k contribution. I can't do this anymore. Fine, Michael said. I'll figure it out myself, like I always do. Except he did figure it out. My parents took out another home equity loan, this time for the full $55,000, and 3 months later, I got a call asking if I could help with the $440 monthly payment because they were stretched thin. I said no to that too. The food truck failed in 4 months. Turned out, gourmet grilled cheese wasn't quite as revolutionary as Michael thought, and his location choices were terrible. The truck was repossessed. My parents were stuck with a $55,000 loan for a truck that no longer existed. That's when I started seeing a therapist. Her name was Dr. Martinez. And in our 3rd session, I showed her my spreadsheet. This is financial abuse, she said simply. You understand that, right? I actually laughed. It's family. They're not abusing me. They believe in Michael. They want him to succeed. At your expense, Dr. Martinez said. Sarah, you've given them nearly $200,000. You've sacrificed your own financial security, your own future, your own dreams. And from what you've told me, you've never received so much as a thank you. Have they ever acknowledged what you've given up? I thought about that, really thought about it, and I realized the answer was no. Every conversation was about what Michael needed, what Michael was going through, how hard Michael was trying. I was just the reliable one, the ATM, the backup plan. They're not bad people, I said. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure I believed it anymore. People can love you and still harm you, Dr. Martinez said gently. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I started setting boundaries, small ones at first. I stopped answering every phone call immediately. I started saying, I'll think about it instead of yes automatically. I looked at apartments with 2 bedrooms instead of studios. I started saving aggressively. And then Thanksgiving came around. I should have seen it coming. I really should have. Michael had been posting cryptically on social media about big news and exciting developments. He'd been unusually cheerful at the few family dinners I'd attended. My mom had called me 3 times to make sure I was coming to Thanksgiving, which should have been a red flag. I arrived at my parents' house at 2 p.m., carrying a pecan pie I'd made from scratch and a bottle of wine. The house smelled amazing, the way it always did on holidays, turkey and stuffing, and my mom's famous cranberry sauce. For a moment, I let myself feel nostalgic for simpler times, before spreadsheets and failed businesses and the weight of 6 years of financial sacrifice. Michael was already there, looking pleased with himself. He gave me a hug and whispered, "Wait till you hear my news. This is the one, sis. This is really it." We sat down to eat. My dad carved the turkey. My mom fussed over making sure everyone had enough of everything. It was almost nice, almost normal. Then, right as we were finishing the main course, Michael stood up. "I want to make an announcement," he said, grinning. "I know the last few years have been rough. I know I've had some setbacks, but I've been working on something new, something different. I've been learning about AI and app development, and I have an idea that's going to change everything. Here we go," I thought. I took a sip of wine and waited. "It's a social media platform," Michael continued, "but with AI that helps people optimize their posts for maximum engagement. It learns your style, suggests improvements, even writes captions for you. I've already talked to a developer who can build it. We just need capital for the initial development and marketing push." "How much capital?" I asked, my voice flat. Michael's grin faltered just slightly. "Well, the developer wants $45,000 for the initial build, and then we'd need another $15,000 for a marketing budget. So, $60,000 total. The table was silent for a moment. My mom was looking at me with an expression I knew too well. Hopeful, expectant. That's a lot of money, I said carefully. It's an investment, Michael said. Sarah, this is different. AI is the future. This app could be huge. I've been doing research for months. I've talked to people in the industry. This is viable. Like the coffee shop was viable? I asked quietly. Or the drop shipping business? Or the cryptocurrency trading? Or the food truck? Michael's face flushed. That's not fair. Those were learning experiences. Every entrepreneur has failures before they succeed. Michael's right, my dad interjected. You can't succeed without taking risks. Sarah, your brother has vision. He has passion. He's not content to just sit in an office doing meaningless work like he stopped himself. But the implication was clear. Like I do? I finished for him. Meaningless work? Is that what you think I do, Dad? That's not what I meant, he said, but his tone suggested otherwise. I just mean that Michael has entrepreneurial spirit. He's building something. You have a job. That's fine, it's stable, but it's not the same as creating something meaningful. Something inside me snapped. That frozen pond I'd been standing on all these years? The ice just shattered completely. I pulled out my phone, opened my Google Drive, and pulled up my spreadsheet. I connected to their TV using the wireless display feature I'd helped my dad set up last Christmas. The spreadsheet appeared on their 55-inch screen. Every line item, every date, every dollar. Let me tell you about my meaningless job, I said, my voice remarkably steady considering my hands were shaking. My meaningless job has generated enough income over the past 6 years that I've been able to give Michael $180,400 for his dreams. That corporate drone work you dismiss has funded every single one of his ventures. Michael was staring at the screen, his face pale. Coffee shop, I said, pointing with my fork. $35,000, failed in 8 months. Drop shipping business, $42,000. Plus, I paid $14,000 in loan payments on the home equity loan you two took out. Failed in less than a year. Cryptocurrency trading, $48,000, including the course. Lost everything in 6 months. Food truck. I declined to invest, but you took out a $55,000 loan that failed in 4 months. We don't need to, my mom started. I'm not finished, I said, and something in my voice made her stop. That's $180,400. Do you know what I could have done with $180,400? I could have bought a condo. I could have it paid off by now. I could have invested it and had close to $250,000. I could have taken the kind of vacations my friends take. I could have had a life. Family helps family, my dad said, but he sounded less certain now. Does it? I asked, because it seems like this only goes one direction. When have any of you helped me? When have you asked what I need, what I want? Have you ever even said thank you? The silence was deafening. I have a new business plan, Michael said suddenly. I've learned from my mistakes. This is different. I actually laughed. It came out harsher than I intended. They're always different, Michael. But they all end the same way, don't they? You're being cruel, my mom said, tears in her eyes. This isn't like you, Sarah. You're hurting your brother. I'm hurting him? The words came out louder than I meant them to. Mom, I'm 29 years old. I live in a studio apartment. I drive a 9-year-old car. I haven't had a real vacation in 6 years. I have $6,000 in savings. $6,000 after making nearly $600,000 in gross income over the past 6 years. Where do you think that money went? We never forced you to give Michael anything, my dad said stiffly. No. You just guilted me with family helps family every single time. You made me feel selfish for even hesitating. You made me feel like I was betraying everyone if I prioritized my own financial security. If you felt that way, you should have said something sooner, my mom said. I'm saying something now, I replied. I closed my phone and the spreadsheet disappeared from the TV. The answer is no. No more money, no more loans, no more investments in Michael's dreams. So that's it, Michael said. You're just giving up on me? I'm not giving up on you, I said, standing up from the table. I'm giving up on funding your fantasies. You're 32 years old, Michael. Maybe it's time to get a real job and save up your own money for your next venture. A real job? Michael's voice was sharp now. You mean give up on my dreams and become a corporate drone like you? There it was. The way they really saw me. You know what your problem is, Sarah? My dad said. And I recognized that tone. The disappointed father tone. You're just a corporate drone who wouldn't understand what it takes to build something meaningful. You've never had vision. You've never taken a risk. You just clock in, collect your paycheck, and call it success. I looked at my father, this man who'd raised me to believe in myself, to work hard, to be responsible. This man who apparently thought none of that mattered because I wasn't an entrepreneur. You're right, I said quietly. I've never taken a risk. I've been too busy funding Michael's, but I'm going to take one now. I pulled my laptop out of my bag. I'd brought it to show my parents some photos from a work trip, but now I opened it for a different reason. I logged into my bank account, right there at the Thanksgiving table, and transferred $5,000 from my checking to my savings. Then I opened Zillow and started browsing condos in my price range. What are you doing? My mom asked. I'm looking at condos, I said. I've been pre-approved for a mortgage. With the $6,000 I have saved plus this $5,000, I can make a down payment with an FHA loan. It won't be much, probably a one-bedroom in a less trendy neighborhood, but it'll be mine. That's incredibly selfish, my mom said. Michael needs to figure it out himself, I interrupted. I'm done. I'm buying a condo. With my money. Money I earned at my meaningless corporate drone job. Michael slammed his hand on the table. This is unbelievable. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? I stared at my brother. Everything you've done for me? Name one thing. One single thing any of you have done for me in the past 6 years that didn't involve asking me for money. Nobody answered. That's what I thought, I said. I closed my laptop and stood up. Thank you for dinner, Mom. The turkey was great. If you leave now, my dad said, his voice cold. Don't expect to come crawling back when you need something. I won't, I said. Because unlike some people, I actually plan to stand on my own 2 feet. I walked out. I left my pecan pie on the counter. I got in my 9-year-old Camry and drove back to my studio apartment. And I didn't cry until I was safely inside with the door locked. Then I cried for about an hour. And then I opened my laptop again and started seriously looking at condos. The next morning, my phone started ringing at 7 a.m. My mom. I let it go to voicemail. She called again at 7:30, again at 8. At 8:30, my dad called. At 9, Michael. I listened to the voicemails over my coffee. Mom. Sarah, honey, we need to talk about last night. You were very hurtful. We're family. We need to work this out. Dad. Sarah. Your mother is very upset. You owe your brother an apology. Call me back. Michael. Sarah. I can't believe you're doing this. I thought you cared about me. I guess I was wrong about you. I deleted them all and went to an open house. Over the next week, the calls continued. My mom tried the guilt approach. I didn't raise you to be so selfish. What happened to the sweet girl who always thought about others first? My dad tried disappointment. I'm ashamed of how you behaved. That's not how we raised you. Michael tried manipulation. I showed your spreadsheet to some people and they all agreed you're being petty and vindictive. Nobody keeps score like that in a real family. I blocked their numbers. All of them. It hurt more than I expected it to, but I did it anyway. 2 weeks later, I made an offer on a 1-bedroom condo in Ballard. It was small, only 650 square feet, and it needed some updating. But it had hardwood floors and big windows, and it was $285,000, which was just barely in my budget. My offer was accepted. 3 weeks after that, my mom found my work email. Subject line, emergency. The email was long. The gist was that Michael needed $5,000 immediately for rent, or he'd be evicted from his apartment. He'd been staying there while living with my parents wasn't conducive to his creative process. My parents couldn't help because they'd depleted their emergency fund dealing with the food truck loan payments. Could I please send the money? They'd pay me back. It was an emergency. I read the email 3 times. I thought about Michael's new leather jacket, his weekend trip to Portland, his latest iPhone. I thought about my spreadsheet and my empty savings account and 6 years of family helps family. I replied with 2 words, I can't. The response came within minutes. Can't or won't. This is your brother. He could end up homeless. I typed out a longer response this time. Michael is 32 years old. He has a college degree and no disabilities preventing him from working. If he's facing eviction, he needs to get a job, not another handout. I love you all, but I'm done enabling this cycle. I hope you can understand. My mom's response, don't bother coming to Christmas. I closed my laptop and felt lighter. Sad, but lighter. Michael did not become homeless. Turns out, when the money train finally stopped, he found a job within a week. Customer service at a tech company. Nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills. He moved back in with my parents temporarily while he caught up on rent. I closed on my condo in January. It was the single proudest moment of my life, standing there with the keys in my hand. My condo, my space, paid for with my money from my meaningless job. I posted one photo on Instagram. Just the keys on a hardwood floor with the caption, New Beginnings. No details, no explanation. Jennifer from work commented, so proud of you. You've worked so hard for this. My mom saw it somehow, even though I'd removed her from my followers. She must have been checking my profile while logged out. She texted from a number I didn't have blocked. So, you had money for a condo but not to help your brother avoid eviction? I don't even know who you are anymore. I blocked that number too. 3 months went by. I furnished my condo slowly, carefully, enjoying every single purchase. A couch I actually liked, not the cheapest option. A bed frame from somewhere other than IKEA. Art for my walls. I had people over for dinner parties. I started dating someone I met through friends. I got a promotion at work. My life felt like it was finally beginning. Then, one Saturday afternoon in April, my doorbell rang. I checked the Ring camera I'd installed and saw my mom standing there, alone. I almost didn't answer, but something made me open the door. Hi, she said. She looked older than I remembered. Tired. Can I come in? I let her in. Mostly because the neighbors were out and I didn't want a scene on my doorstep. She looked around my condo, taking in the space I'd created. It's lovely, she said quietly. Really lovely. Thanks, I said. What are you doing here, Mom? She sat down on my couch without being invited. I owe you an apology. I waited. Your father and I. We enabled Michael. We see that now. He's been living with us since January, and it's been eye-opening. He complains constantly about his job. He talks about his next business idea every night at dinner. He expects me to do his laundry and cook all his meals like he's still a teenager. I sat down in the chair across from her, maintaining distance. We got a call from a financial advisor last month, she continued. We were trying to figure out how to manage the home equity loans. When she saw how much we owed and why, she asked us if we were trying to bankrupt ourselves. She told us we'd enabled Michael to avoid growing up and that we'd sacrificed not just our own financial security but yours too. I could have told you that for free, I said. My mom winced. I know, Sarah. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We told ourselves we were helping him, that we were being good parents. But we weren't being good parents to you. We took advantage of your generosity and your sense of family obligation. We made you feel guilty for having boundaries. That was wrong. I felt tears prickling at my eyes, but I blinked them back. Why now? What changed? Michael announced last week that he's quitting his job. He says he's saved up enough for a new business venture, something about NFTs. She laughed, but it sounded hollow. When your father asked how much he'd saved, it was $2,000. He wanted us to take out another loan to help him. And? I asked. We said no, my mom said. For the first time in his life, we said no, and he threw a tantrum. A full-on, screaming tantrum, like a toddler. And that's when I realized we'd done this to him. We'd created this. We sat in silence for a moment. I'm not giving him money, I said finally. Just so we're clear, I'm not going back to how things were. I'm not asking you to, my mom said quickly. I'm asking if someday, maybe, you might let me be part of your life again. Not as someone who asks you for things, but just as your mother. I want to know about your job and your life and this person you're dating that I saw mentioned on Facebook. I want to support you for once, instead of just taking from you." I looked at my mother and saw something I hadn't seen in years. Genuine remorse. "I'm still angry," I said. "Really angry. You took 6 years of my life and I'm not getting those back." "I know," she said. "You have every right to be. And I'm not reconciling with Michael or Dad unless they can admit what they did was wrong. Real admission, not just 'sorry you feel that way' apologies." "I understand," she said, "and I need time. I can't just flip a switch and go back to how things were, even if how things were was before all this mess." "I get it," my mom said. She stood up. "I should go, but Sarah, I'm proud of you. This place, your job, the fact that you stood up for yourself even though it was hard. I should have said that 6 years ago. I'm proud of you." After she left, I sat on my couch for a long time, looking around at my condo, my space, my accomplishment. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. "Would you maybe want to get coffee sometime? Just the two of us? No pressure, no agenda, just coffee." I looked at the message for a while before responding. Maybe. Let me think about it. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Not completely. But it was something. A crack in the ice. But this time, I was the one in control of whether it thawed. 3 days later, I met my mom for coffee at a neutral location. We talked about work, about my condo renovations, about the book she was reading. We didn't talk about Michael or my dad or money. After an hour, she asked if we could do it again sometime. "Maybe," I said. And I meant it. Michael still lives with my parents. Last I heard, he'd started the NFT business with his $2,000, and it failed within 2 months. He got another customer service job, quit after 3 weeks, and is currently unemployed and working on a new idea involving cryptocurrency again. My dad sent me an email in June. It wasn't an apology, exactly, but it was something. He acknowledged that they'd perhaps been too focused on Michael's needs, and that he may have undervalued my contributions and career. It was the closest thing to an admission I was likely to get from him. I responded, thanking him for reaching out. But I haven't seen him in person yet. I'm not ready. As for me, I'm doing better than I've ever done. I got another promotion in July. I'm making $105,000 now. I've been aggressively saving, and for the first time in my adult life, I have $25,000 in my savings account. Money that's mine. Money that will stay mine. I'm still dating the same guy. His name is James, and he knows the whole story. When I showed him my spreadsheet on our 3rd date, fully expecting him to run for the hills, he just looked at me and said, "You must have really loved them to sacrifice that much." It was the first time anyone had framed it that way, and I cried right there at the restaurant. I've set up an automatic transfer to my savings account every month. $2,000. It's aggressive, but I'm making up for lost time. My financial advisor says if I keep it up, I could have a down payment for a rental property in 3 years. An investment. A real one that might actually generate returns. Sometimes I still feel guilty. I'll see a family photo pop up on social media, happy people gathered around a dinner table, and I'll feel a pang of loss for what I don't have anymore. But then I look around at my condo, at my life, at my savings account, and I remember what it cost me to maintain that illusion of happy family dinners. I'm not a corporate drone. I'm a woman who worked hard, earned her success, and finally learned that loving your family doesn't mean bankrolling their delusions. Last week, I booked a trip to Italy. 2 weeks in Tuscany in September. Something I've wanted to do since college. It's going to cost about $4,000, and I'm paying for it in cash, and I'm not feeling even a little bit guilty about it. Because here's what I've learned. Family should help family, but help should flow both ways, and it should never require you to destroy yourself in the process. Real love doesn't come with a price tag or a payment plan, and sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is walk away and let people face the consequences of their own choices. I'm Sarah Chen. I'm 29 years old. I have a career I'm proud of, a condo I love, and $25,000 in savings that's finally, actually mine. And if that makes me a corporate drone, then I'll wear that label with pride. Because this drone is finally flying free,